I should stop. What else do we have to say? Oh no, we have to pause and ask for questions, comments, abuse. Comments, questions, abuse. Oh.
Or maybe I'll just point to some information up on the screen. We've just covered at warp speed things that we can spend a lot of time talking about, and we have master's programs, actually we can mention that now, that look at this in great depth. If you're interested in doing a master's program in Imaginative Education, they run out of Surrey campus, and they will be, we have at least one cohort, possibly two, beginning in September of 2012. And it will give you an opportunity to really look at this very complicated and exciting approach to teaching.
And the deadline for applications is March 15th.
March 15th. And so at the very bottom is our homepage, and it links off that homepage to a variety of different initiatives we have. Environmental, ecological education initiatives, learning in depth project, all these different features we haven't had a chance to look at really at all today. Our aim for today was to indicate a distinctive, a different, a third and a half idea about education, and hopefully leave you feeling intrigued, curious, interested about what we've been talking about today. So now we can take questions, comments, abuse, money.
You mentioned Plato as a rather significant figure historically in the Western world. Is there an equivalent to Plato in other cultures?
Yeah, there's, well, Confucius. The Kong of Confucius is, there's some similarities. It's a bad question to ask me because I have a son-in-law who is doing a PhD, and one part of his work is comparing Socrates and Confucius. And Confucius, no, it's in fact he's going to be giving a talk at Simon Fraser in April 16th, just on that comparison on the because anyway, yeah. So he has unusually a background in ancient Greek and in ancient Chinese language and philosophy. It's very smart. Sorry, I tend to fall into... He picks up languages. He's the best Scrabble player I've ever met in my life. I mean, I'd be struggling, and he'd look over and say, "Oh, how about New Zealand?" Well, so you there. But he also picked up... I remember we visited, been in Japan only a few years. We went to visit, and he would book a restaurant, and everything would change. He spoke idiomatically perfect Japanese. And then within a year, idiomatically perfect Chinese. I shouldn't say this, but he was astonishing. So we would go to the restaurants, and they would look at this 6'2" American, and he would be speaking to them in perfect Japanese. And it did not compute. So they would try to reply in broken English. It was impossible. It was impossible. These noises could be coming out. Anyway, sorry. So he's quite good. If anybody has a job, he's just finishing. He doesn't have a job. And I have another son. Oh well. Sorry.
Thanks very much. You've given us, you've given me so many good ideas. One thing I didn't see here, though, and it may be embedded in all of this, is the use of body and drama and how we remember things. And I started my career as an elementary school teacher, and if I wanted the kids to remember something, we acted it out. So, Captain Cook was murdered in Hawaii, and we all dragged along sugar cane and so on. Right. So it may be there. Now I have to try and take those wonderful experiences and try to move it into adult education. But how do we embed that? So it could be through the story, the narrative, becoming an educational theorist. And so I'm wondering if you could say something about the use of the body drama.
Well, absolutely. We didn't actually get to speak to all of the tools, but games and drama, particularly role play, is a wonderful way is one of the tools that would come along with oral language, as you well know. And it is a very powerful tool at the post-secondary level, because what we do when we engage students in role or have them reenact things is we change the context of the classroom. And a lot of what we're trying to do here is to have you challenge some of those routines we tend to associate with learning. I'm going to class today, this is what I expect is going to happen. And when you can employ role play or drama, as you say, it's particularly powerful because it draws on the oral language and the body at once. is you're changing that context for students. So that would be my answer. And it's one of the tools we talked about on the website and we did not talk about today. So thank you.
I shouldn't mention, maybe, I had the privilege just before she died of working with Dorothy Heathcote. Do you know her at all? Oh, really? She is the most wonderful person for doing precisely these things, showing how these children-like things can have power, teaching at any level. She has a website, it's now somebody else's website, but it's called Mantle of the Expert. Just if you put Mantle of the Expert in Google, you'll get to it. And lots of rich ideas.
Question?
I noticed that you do a lot of discussion about the acquisition of an oral language at a young age. I wonder if you've done any research into the acquisition of visual gestural languages as well at that age, or any research at all?
No, we've done. A number of people have said that obviously there are representational ways in which that somehow are parallel but different in significant senses, and so we have a number of suggestions that people have made, but it hasn't been. We've not developed that at all adequately. But it's something for a lot of today left. Thank you. No, it's not that we don't recognise it's needed. Yeah. Oh, yes.
You've got, I'm assuming the website has lots of examples of how to use these kind of techniques in post-secondary. Are there any curricula that you are aware of that are built around these kinds of principles, or is this something that's happening more ad hoc in independent classrooms?
It's challenging because in education, that's what we want. As educators, we want that curricula. What we have, though, is a theory that says it begins with your passion as a teacher. So what we can provide would be resources for teachers that would help them maybe find that emotional core in a topic that they may not have taught before or they're entering. Oftentimes with expertise, you have that already. There's a reason why you become majors in English or in physics. You have that expertise and you have that passion already. It's very difficult to create any kind of curriculum that a teacher will just use. As you all know, as professionals, we shape that the ways we need to, depending on the context of the classroom. It's particularly hard to do that ready-made stuff for this, because every teacher, as we saw, there were so many heroic qualities circled by the woman that was on this side in that activity that she had so many different things that engaged her. They're all slightly different. So after all of that, I would say that we have more resource suggestions, guides, support in the form of directions to provide teachers. And if you want to see what this kind of looks like in action, it is, of course, more in this not post-secondary environment, but on our website you can have a link to it's called Corbett School in Oregon, and they would be our best example of a school where every teacher is doing this, and they've gone from a nowhere school to number 3 in America. Phenomenal results. And we're not saying it's due to imaginative education, but they just so happen to be an imaginative education school.
Yes. It is. And there is I think there's a 20-minute video on our website. You can just click and it introduces you to the school and how they shape the curriculum and all the rest of it. And there are people in many colleges, mainly in the US, who are using a lot of this stuff in shaping their work. But we've done nothing systematic about getting them together and sorting it out yet.
Question?
Well, I'm a student in the Imaginative Education master's program.
You should be up here.
With Gillian. And I just vouch for that I have found it phenomenal to weave some of these tools into my curriculum, and I'd be willing to talk to anybody who's interested in it as well. And so even at the post-secondary level, and it has increased my passion for my subject area, which is radiology, which was black and white.
See?
But anyways, it is phenomenal, and I'd be interested to talk to you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Susan. Okay.
People eager to vote with their
5 to
feet.
2. You can reach us if you have other questions that you think of later. Please don't hesitate to contact us. Thank you.
Thank you.